The infallible Word of God, perfect, unchanging, and divinely inspired, or so they say. But what if I told you that in one of history's most revered Bibles, there was a commandment that literally read, "Thou shalt commit adultery," or that the Almighty's greatness was once misprinted as God's great ass? Wow, I bet God was really flattered. No, I'm not making this up. These aren't obscure myths or fringe theories, they're real printing errors from the early editions of the King James Bible, errors so bizarre and catastrophic that they turned what was supposed to be a flawless holy book into an early 17th century meme. Now, on a serious note, I'm quite surprised, actually I'm shocked, that no foul play, I mean divine intervention, took place while these misprints were being corrected. How did a translation born out of political ambition, religious tension, and human imperfection come to be seen as the ultimate Word of God? And why did it undergo so many revisions before becoming the widely accepted text we know today? You don't have to answer that. I'll do it for you. This is the untold story of the King James Bible, its flawed beginnings, its notorious mistakes, and the political power plays that shaped it. By the way, if you don't own a copy of the KJV, you may just want to go out and buy your very own copy today. In fact, buy a copy through the link in my description. That way, I too can profit from something that makes absolutely zero sense. Back in 1603, Queen Elizabeth I passed away. She ruled England for 45 years, providing stability and security during her reign. While often celebrated for maintaining religious peace, her approach was more pragmatic than devout. She kept tensions between Catholics and Protestants in check without fully committing to either side. But when she died childless, the throne passed to King James VI of Scotland, who became King James I of England. This marked a pivotal moment, not just politically, but religiously. England and Scotland had a long history of conflict, and tensions still ran high. To complicate things further, James's mother, Mary, Queen of Scots, had been executed by Elizabeth. Despite this, many saw the rise of a new king as a chance for long-awaited religious reform. James, however, had other ideas. On his way to be crowned, James was approached by a group of Puritans who handed him a list of grievances known as the Millenary Petition. It was signed by over 1,000 clergymen, about 10% of England's clergy, demanding reforms such as banning wedding rings and crosses. Interestingly, a new Bible translation wasn't on their list, but what mattered to James wasn't what the Puritans wanted. It was what served his political agenda. James called for a meeting at Hampton Court Palace in 1604 to discuss the Puritans' demands. The Puritans were excluded from the first day of the conference, and James dismissed most of their requests. Why? He didn't want to mess with the Church of England's structure, which gave him power. Having dealt with the unruly Presbyterian system in Scotland, he wasn't about to give Puritans more influence in England. Eventually, Dr. John Reynolds, a leading Puritan, proposed a new Bible translation, claiming the existing ones were corrupt. James, who despised the Geneva Bible for its anti-monarchy footnotes, saw this as an opportunity. A new translation could reinforce his authority while eliminating subversive interpretations. This wasn't about producing a better Bible, it was about control. Work on the new translation began later that year. 54 scholars were appointed, though only 47 participated in the end. These scholars weren't unbiased. They represented different factions within the church, each with its own agenda. They followed 15 strict rules for translation, one of which banned the marginal notes that had made the Geneva Bible so controversial. The goal wasn't just accuracy, it was to create a text that sounded authoritative and reinforced the existing power structure. The scholars were divided into 6 groups across Oxford, Cambridge, and Westminster, each working on different sections of the Bible. Their work was painstaking. Each scholar translated independently, and the group then compared the versions before sending them to a general revising committee. But here's where it gets interesting. The revising committee didn't just read the text, they listened to it being read aloud. Why? Because much of the population was illiterate. They wanted a Bible that sounded impressive when read from the pulpit, even if that meant sacrificing precision for style. Once finalized, the translation went through several layers of approval, ultimately landing on King James's desk. Though he didn't personally review every passage, he had the final say. The translation was completed in 1611, and Robert Barker, the king's printer, rushed to get it published. The result? Barker, who had invested heavily in the printing rights, went bankrupt trying to fix errors and fend off piracy, leaving readers with "Thou shalt commit adultery." Printing was a laborious process, and errors were inevitable, but some of these mistakes were outright laughable. A poorly edited mess. One infamous edition printed in 1631 became known as the Wicked Bible because it omitted the word "not" from the commandment, "Thou shalt not commit adultery." Another error turned God's greatness into God's great ass. These weren't minor typos. They were catastrophic blunders in a book meant to be the infallible Word of God. But since we're on the topic, allow me to comment. First, I would have loved to have been alive in 1631. My logic behind this is quite simple. Although my wife might not have appreciated it very much, I'm quite confident that I would have had a great time. Honestly, who cares about God's great ass when you have to commit adultery? And believe me, I sure would have committed adultery. After all, I don't want to go to hell. Oh yeah, before I get too far off track, I need to finish telling you about Barker. He died in debt and disgrace. What a total loser. It would have sucked to be him. That being said, I'm glad that I'm me and not him. Meanwhile, the King James Bible struggled to gain popularity. It wasn't until decades later, after numerous revisions, that it became widely accepted. In 1769, Oxford University Press released a standardized version, correcting many of the original errors and inconsistencies. This edition is the one still in use today. Despite its flawed origins, the King James Bible left an indelible mark on the English language. Phrases like "by the skin of one's teeth" and "the powers that be" came from this translation, influencing writers from John Milton to William Shakespeare. But while its literary legacy is undeniable, its religious authority is another story. The King James Bible, far from being a perfect or divinely ordained text, stands as a testament to the power struggles and imperfections of the era in which it was created. The translation was shaped by political agendas, personal biases, and a desire for control, not divine inspiration. This raises a crucial question. If the so-called Word of God was so heavily influenced by human hands, how can it be trusted as an infallible guide to faith? If you enjoy our content, we'd love your support. By joining one of our channel memberships, you help us continue creating videos like this one while gaining access to some amazing perks. As a member, you'll unlock exclusive content available only to supporters, earn loyalty badges to show off in comments and live chats, and enjoy priority responses to your comments, shoutouts, and more. The best part? Memberships start at just $2.99 a month, less than a cup of coffee. Even small contributions make a big difference for the PJ Bible TV team in covering production costs and delivering the content you love. And if you're not ready to become a channel member today but still want to support us, there are other ways to help. Engaging with our videos is a tremendous way to show your support. By taking just a few moments to like the video, share it with friends, family, or on social media, and leave a comment, you're telling the YouTube algorithm to share our content with more people. Your support, no matter how you choose to show it, means the world to us. Thank you for being part of the PJ Bible TV community.